Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I am Andrew Hawnt. This was intended to be a live stream, a live from Planet Hex comic talk that we had last week. Unfortunately, my connection is a bit wonky tonight, so you've got a recorded version. I hope that's okay. So I have carbonated beverage. I have a random stack of comics from the archive. I thought it'd be fun to have a look at what's in the archive. And sort through it. It needs sorting out quite a bit. Now, I'm going to sort it out in three ways. There's going to be stuff I want to keep, stuff I want to put on eBay, and stuff I'm just going to donate to charity. So, opinions on what I should do with all of these will differ, and it may well just be junk or stuff I'm going to keep, but we shall find out. We shall find out, won't we? Because it's fun talking about comics. Well, I think it is anyway. And I pulled about, I don't know, there's maybe 100 in this stack. Pulled about 100 out of the archive, and the top one to start with, it might as well start with a doozy. One of the biggest selling comics of all time, X-Men issue 1. Now, of all things to start with, Andrew, nicely done. This was issue number 1 of the re-released X-Men, so it wasn't Uncanny X-Men that had been going since the 60s in one form or another. This was 1991, and this was, of course, the X-Men comic with written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Jim Lee, and it's just a thing of beauty. I do have the gatefold one of this edition of this somewhere as well. I'm sure I do. And this was a game changer. This literally sold millions of copies. Started in the 90s. When it was before Image was started, so it was before Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee and Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane and Mark Silvestri and those guys got together and formed Image. So it was the explosion of popularity of people like Jim Lee, and you can understand why. But something I am in love with here, as well as the glorious art and the epic classic story in this, and the Bill and Ted Game Boy advert here, has got to be the ad on the back for these classic 90s X-Men action figures. Check out those figures. Those rule. Those absolutely rule. So I'm definitely keeping that one. Now, my relationship with the X-Men comics started when I used to get them in W.H. Smith's in a shopping centre that I eventually worked in, and they all had the Comag stickers on. I don't know if any comics fans remember Comag. They would import like newsstand editions of comics for UK mainstream stores. So yeah, and I remember the fact that they had a Comag sticker on. I may have got some in this pile somewhere. The fact they had a Comag sticker on showed they'd been imported. I was like, wow. And I loved the direct sale market at the time. I was discovering the direct sale market at the time in the early 90s. But the fact that they had a sticker on that said this had come from another country, that was so cool. Okay, speaking of Image, next up in the pile I've pulled out is, I revisited these recently, Stormwatch from those early Image years. So, yeah, this was in the early Image years where everything was very muscular. Everyone was hugely muscular. Everyone had large guns. So Brandon Choi, Scott Clark. It was co-created by Jim Lee and Brandon Choi. I mean, you know, they meant business with these things. I know they get a bad rap. I've given them a bad rap several times throughout over the years. However, the early Image comics, while some people said they appealed to the lowest common denominator, they had like people with huge muscles kicking people's backsides. And, you know, I was like 14 at the time or so. That's what I wanted. And it gave me value for money. It gave me everything I needed from a comic book. I've actually just watched the Image Comics documentary. I'll link to that below as well, which was fascinating about how Image came to be. Of, you know, when these people left Marvel and so on, formed an awesome gang of awesomeness and just made really crazy comics. Spawn, you gotta love Spawn. And the Max was a great comic. I miss my Max titles. Okay, so carrying on the same vein, X-Men issue 11 from 1992. And I love adverts in old comics. Universal Soldier, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren. Not an acting chop between them, but by God, that film was fun. There we go. Classic X-Men. Who did we like this one? Lost track. Yeah, Jim Lee and the gang. Check out this spread here. Now that is a classic X-Men double-page spread. Definitely keeping that. Yeah, there's a fair few of the X-Men ones. So X-Men 2 and 8. Again, carrying on in a similar theme. Can you tell I've read a lot of X-Men comics in the early 90s? Now the animated series was huge to me as well. It was a huge moment seeing the animated series. Check out some of the adverts in these. I love adverts in old comic books, be it the really old retro ones where it's, you know, it's send away for these X-ray specs, or if it's just things like Game Genie. Check out Game Genie for the NES. Rules. What else we got inside? Oh yes, Terminator 2 Judgment Day on NES and Game Boy. Fantastic. Yeah, the X-Men ones I'm keeping. These are really special to me. This, you know, just because they were the ones that kind of shaped my love for comics. I think I got these just before I discovered AC Comics, so I eventually ended up writing for. Check out this issue 2 of that run of X-Men. Magneto there just looks so regal and awesome. Love it. So, okay, X-Men Adventures. Now this was weird. So, of course, the X-Men animated series was based on, I've just realised I'm wearing a Marvel shirt and a Marvel hat. Eternals. I'm talking about X-Men. I swear it's not just Marvel stuff. X-Men Adventures was Marvel's way of, I don't know, it was weird because there was the X-Men animated series, which was based on the Marvel comics. So it went from Marvel comics to X-Men animated series, and then the X-Men animated series was then kind of readapted, sort of, in X-Men Adventures to kind of welcome, I guess, to try and kind of welcome readers to the printed version as well as just watching the cartoon. Everyone's favourite movie ever, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which is watchable. Not a great Super Mario Brothers movie, but it's a watchable early 90s weird sci-fi movie. But yes, okay. Generation X. All that cover? Oh, it's ads inside. Generation X. I was big into Generation X towards the end of my initial interest in comic books because it had Jubilee in it. It has Jubilee. Jubilee's awesome. This was, of course, the team that she joined when she left the X-Men. And, yeah. The comic was at times patchy, story-wise, but the characters were good. And, like I say, it kept me supplied with Jubilee, who was always my favourite character. I have been asked before why Jubilee was my favourite X-Men character, and it's because she was not very powerful. I love the underdog. I always love the underdog in stuff, and that's part of the appeal of Marvel, to be honest, isn't it? Is the underdog characters. What else have we got? The Jaguar by Impact Comics. Speaking of underdogs, when was this? November 1991, so I was 13, in League with the Black Hood. Now, Impact Comics, it was what it was. They're superhero comics. They weren't bad. They weren't stunning, but some of you may enjoy the WCW wrestling advert on the back of this. Be a video warrior. Old video game adverts, man. They rule. Let's see what else is in here. Smash TV. Smash TV. Classic. And what's in the front? Oh, yes. Now there's class. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES. Okay. Alright, there's an odd one. It's Private Beach from Slave Labor Graphics. Fun, interesting indie comic. Nice art, nice writing. Wasn't really sure what I was expecting when I bought that, but it was a good read. Spider-Girl. Spider-Girl has kind of a patchy history in Marvel history, doesn't she? The comics have been all over the place. But that's issue 87. When does that date from? August 2005. I can donate that. Okay, Witchblade. When I was working in a comic shop, I bought a bunch of Witchblade comics to see what the fuss was about, because they sold, and I never really figured out what the appeal was personally. But some of the stories were amazing. Some of the art was stunning. Check out the glove there. The Witchblade glove. Okay, there we go. The Witchblade glove is awesome. But I think a lot of the appeal for some of the early Witchblade comics was the lack of clothing on Sarpazini and others. And that was a shame, really, because there were some good stories being told in those comics. Awesome. So, always been a big fan of 2000 AD. I've got to stop hitting the table because I keep wobbling, sorry. And when I was at school, I would always check out the newsagents on the way home from school to see if they had anything cool. And one of the nearby newsagents in this school had some American format comics, which I snapped up. Judge Dredd. So, Fleetway quality comics. These are collections of older Judge Dredd strips that had been, just collated and reformatted for a US format. And I loved these because it was all Dredd, It was all wall-to-wall Dredd. And in 2000 AD, as much as I love 2000 AD, it wasn't wall-to-wall Dredd, which is kind of what I really wanted at the time. But, he's like the definitive 2000 AD character. And I loved those. Yeah, to keep that. And sometimes you try titles as well, and they don't really work out for you. So I've got Black Harvest by Josh Howard, from the guy who did Dead at 17, Dead at 17 was cool. That was cool. Nothing to do with the movie that's up on, I think it's Pluto TV. Nothing to do with that at all. Don't get carried away if you see Dead at 17 movie listed on these free streaming sites. It was alright. Wasn't really my thing. I think that's going to get donated. X-Men 28. X-Men 28. With Sabretooth and Jean Grey on the cover. Now, interesting fact about... Well, I think it's interesting because it involves me. I love talking about myself. When the original X-Men movie came out... Hey! Wayne's World 2. When the original X-Men movie was coming out and there was promo being done for that... Oh, classic. Look in the back there. Eternal Champions. It may have sucked, but I still play it now, 30 years later. Tyler Main did a signing tour in Forbidden Planet stores, little Forbidden Planet stores around the country. So Tyler Main was the guy that played Sabretooth in the original X-Men movie. The one where they turned Senator Kelly into jelly and so on. It was weird meeting him because I'm not a tall man. I'm 5'7". And I came up to about there on him. I had a photo with him and everything. I wish I'd still got that. So it was a really nice guy to meet. But yeah, he was an actual literal giant. So Deity. Deity was a comic I really enjoyed. And nobody else seemed to like it. And because of that, it kind of felt like it was mine. So this was published by Hyperworks. I think it was like an Image offshoot or something. I think for a while it was an Image offshoot. Not entirely sure. 1998. So I was like 20, and I wanted something a bit cooler, and this had sort of a cooler art style, somewhere between kind of Image and manga, and there was lots of big, loud sci-fi elements to it. Creatures, cool costumes, lots of crazy powers, people with spiky hair. It appealed greatly to me. And I remember getting a few issues of it and thinking, oh, this is great, this is for me, and no one seems to be talking about it in the magazines. Bear in mind, this is when Wizard and Hero were around. And yeah, it really captured me. So I remember getting in touch with Hyperworks from my bedroom in Sheffield. Sent them an email saying, hey, I'll sign up to your mailing list, this is great. And the website had a survey on it and said, we'll send you a freebie if you fill out this survey. I thought, I'm in England, they might not do it. So I filled out the survey, and sure enough, they sent me an envelope stuffed with cool stuff. I was so pleased. And because of that, I bought everything from that series until it eventually ended with a one-shot called Requiem, which also became a novel, which I wish I'd written, to be honest. But anyway, Liberty Meadows by Frank Cho. To me, one of the greatest comics ever put out. If you've never read Liberty Meadows, it's entirely by Frank Cho, who you may recognise from his art from things like Sheena and so on, anything with large dinosaurs, Skyborn and things like that. However, these were landscape comics, black and white landscape format comics that were more like a bit like newspaper strips, but set in like an animal sanctuary with Disney-style animals, but very Frank Cho-style humans, and of course some obligatory gorilla versus dinosaur scenes. And it's loving, it's funny, it's warm, lovely. What do we got here? New Avengers issue 11 from, it's about 2011. Just before the first Thor movie came out, I think that's going to go on donated pile. After my initial period of buying tons and tons of comics, I just stopped buying them, and every once in a while I would get a buy pile again, and then realise that I'm not enjoying these like I used to, and I'm not sure if it was my age, or that the product wasn't as good as it was, or it's just a nostalgia thing. I think possibly it was a mixture of all of those. So now I do look for things that I find compelling when I do buy comics. An odd thing to find in my collection, so I do prefer superheroes, Mr. Natural, Robert Crumb comic. Robert Crumb's a fascinating individual. Completely nuts, but fascinating. I'm really fond of that. Yes. In fact, Robert Crumb does show up in an excellent movie about comics, American Splendor, the story of Harvey Peacock. Do watch American Splendor. It's nothing like any comic book movie you've ever seen. It's very quiet, it's very calm, and it's utterly heartfelt. And you can't help but love Paul Giamatti playing Harvey Peacock. He was awesome. Another of the Fleetway collections of Judge Dredd Universe comics, this time Judge Anderson, the Psy Judge. And she rules. Plus, comics like this gave me a taste for horror in comics, with all kinds of bizarre creatures showing up. I do love the crazy art style in that. It led me to getting into things like Nemesis the Warlock and so on as well. Very cool. Very cool. It was an honour to have actually had a Dredd and Anderson and Dark Judge's story in Just Dredd magazine back in 2016. I would love to do some more stuff for magazine or 2000 AD because they just rule. Motor Crush. This was a more recent comic, about 2015 or so? 2017, sorry. Futuristic motorbikes, very complicated characters, utterly compelling. This was one of the examples of something that really did grab me, and it was cool. It wasn't superheroes, and it's usually superheroes that get me, but it has a beautiful art style, a really, really excellent art style to it. So the characters are designed well, they're a little bit cartoony, Then you've got all the mystery with the slightly Tron-style bikes and things. I do recommend Motor Crush entirely. Back to the start again. We've got another issue of Jaguar from Impact Comics. Again, pretty straightforward superhero comic. There's a trading card in this. An Impact Comics trading card. The Weapon. Unfortunate name if you think about it. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the Weapon. Silk. Keep the Jaguar. I'm going to donate this issue of Silk, though. I do like Silk. I love Silk as a character, and I'm looking forward to seeing her show up. Was it a movie or a TV series she's coming up in? I can't remember. But I think she's a really cool character. The art style is fab. But again, the comics are patchy. One of the more recent Marvel Now comics, Guardians of the Galaxy. Dipped into Guardians of the Galaxy once the movie started being awesome. But I'm going to donate that, so it didn't really grab me. Black Widow. This was a really interesting run. So this was Nathan Edmondson writing it, and Phil Noto is the artist. Noto, I do apologise, Phil, for getting that wrong. And it was very scratchy. The art was very gritty. It didn't have a massive amount of dialogue in it, but it had some spectacular action scenes in it. And it is a great run. It's something I really enjoy, but don't think it's something I need to keep hold of, so that's going to go in there. Copy of Giant Days. I thought I'd sold all these. I got like 30 issues of Giant Days, mainly on the strength of it being set in Sheffield at the start, anyway. And I'm from Sheffield, so it was nice to see what places had shown up, and they did use some real places in it. But I didn't want to keep hold of them. It wasn't something I was going to revisit, so I did sell most of them, so I've missed one there. Get donated. Actually, no, I'll put that on eBay. Someone might want it. Captain Marvel issue 100 with its aged vintage look. I like retro stuff, and that appealed to me. Probably because it's got Spider-Woman on the front, and just it's very classic looking. Unfortunately, the art style inside is more modern, but yeah, the cover was cool. But I don't think I need to keep hold of that, so I'm going to put that on the eBay pile. Somebody else may enjoy that. So it's like stuff that's I put on eBay is things I generally think that someone might enjoy for their collection. Kirby Genesis issue 1. Where's the Dynamite Entertainment? Yeah, Dynamite Entertainment. Written by Kurt Busiek and art by art direction and layouts by Alex Ross, with art by Jack Herbert and Alex Ross. So you can imagine what that is like. So some of it is pen and ink drawing, and some of it is Alex Ross, and you know what I mean by that. If you know, you know. Yeah, Alex Ross is just a god amongst men. Amazing. But I don't think I'm going to keep hold of that, so that will go on the eBay pile. Generation X. Night of Revelations 24. That's towards the end of me buying Generation X. Any cool adverts in this to show you? No, not at all. It's a bit 90s though. Heroic Age, Captain America. This is when I was dipping back in and trying different things in my buy pile. Wasn't great. Wasn't something I enjoyed. This. Rolled. This is about as 90s as it gets. This is from the Valiant Vision starter kit. I've got to keep all this. Presented in Valiant Vision. Now, Valiant Vision was a really good idea for Valiant Comics in the 90s, and that was they'd faked 3D by giving out glasses. I don't have the glasses, unfortunately, anymore. And the glasses made warmer colours, i.e. red and orange and so on, appear closer to you. Colder colours, greens, blues, and darker colours like that were further back. So it gave the impression of 3D, which was really cool. And the starter kit was like this. So, yeah, it came with all the art in it works with the glasses. There's instructions on using the glasses, i.e. wear them. And There was a solar Man of the Atom poster that looked phenomenal in fake 3D. They used that. Very Tron-esque. And Tron-esque appeals to me greatly. Slave Labor graphics, free comic book day. The address in the old comic shop I worked in, that's going on the donate pile because I don't need it and no one would buy that on eBay. Gen 13, the image attempt at Generation X. It was okay. It was more gritty, grungy, darker, more violent. It had a cool characters in it like Free Fall and Fairchild. Keep hold of that. X-Men 33. Read about the pinnacle of Gambit mania, where Gambit was all over the place, like Wolverine had been in previous years. Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead advert. And now I've got the theme tune in my head. Do 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 do. Some more X-Men. What have we got here? Uncanny X-Men 307, Uncanny X-Men 306, Generation X 34. They thought the White Queen had gone soft. They were wrong. I'd love one where we got one that just said, they got the White Queen right in a movie. Close in first class. Not going to lie, it was alright in first class. But still, not entirely the right Emma Frost for me. The official Marvel adaptation of the original RoboCop movie. Now, it doesn't include the extreme gore, the exploding people, and, you know, all of the body horror that's in it, but it does capture the spirit as far as you can in an all-ages comic of that classic film from Paul Verhoeven. I really must watch the original again soon. Big time, Spider Girl issue 1, that's going on the eBay pile. It was what it was. It was okay. Sometimes I bought DC. I don't know. You know, none of us is perfect. That's going on the eBay pile. Here's a weird one. I remember finding this second-hand in Granny's Attic, a little second-hand shop in Morrison's in Sheffield. Reagan's Raiders. Superhero team where it's literally presidents of America with bazookas. There's Reagan with a bazooka. I don't know why I've kept this for so long. It's just because it's morbid curiosity. Stormwatch issues 3, 4, and 6 from Image Comics. Muscles and Guns. Muscles and Guns, like the guy in Space that said about Tim Bisley's work. Oh, give Bisley a call. I like his work. It was on Muscles and Guns. Green Hornet issue 1, written by Kevin Smith. Hello, Kevin. Art by Jonathan Lau. You know, there was a lot of fanfare about Kevin Smith taking over Green Hornet, and it was a solid comic. It was a solid comic. Yeah, nothing earth-shaking, but it was a really good book. That's going to go on the eBay pile, so I don't really need that. This was a cool series. I do regret not getting the whole series of this. This is Scarlet by Brian Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev, which had some gorgeous, very stylized artwork in it. Beautiful artwork. It's published by Icon. Put out some good stuff, Icon. But the problem with American comics is that, you know, with them being monthly or so, it's easy to lose interest in stuff or for disposable income to be needed for something else. So that's going to go on the eBay pile as well. Anything I put on the eBay pile, you will find at the link below. I'll pop a link in there. Oracle. A lot of Birds of Prey stuff. Bruce Wayne, The Road Home. It's an Oracle one-shot on the eBay pile. Someone might want that. All new Captain America special. Look who's Cap. It's Sam. I think Sam's a great Cap. On eBay. There's New York 5. Sequel to New York 4. No, seriously. It was published by Vertigo. But the New York 4 was a graphic novel originally put out by the Minx line. If anyone remembers the Minx line of comics, it was an attempt to. It was where they published like digest style graphic novels, smaller, like almost like paperback sized, of stories that were aimed at a more female market, and they were great. They were really, really good stories. New York 4 was excellent. My favourite was Plain Jane's. Plain Jane's was excellent. Regifters was okay, but yeah, Plain Jane's and New York 4, I do recommend you wholeheartedly check those out. Mr. X, comics I'll never get rid of. The classic story of an insane architect revisiting Radiant City, the city he designed, where the architecture is sending people insane. And he's back in Radiant City trying to sort it out. Love it. Good stuff. Joe the Barbarian, issue 1. On eBay. Oh, here is some prime 90s junk. It was junk. It was from Extreme Studios. It was Rob Liefeld. It was Profit. And at the time, that's exactly what Image Comics were doing. No, I liked it. I liked it at the time. Muscles, purple and gold. You know, the colour scheme looked cool and things like that. And I have some affection for these old things now. First Strike. A little bit of damage on the cover there. That is the Hasbro crossover. So, yeah, that was the story that brought together G.I. Joe, Mask, ROM, Micronauts, and Transformers. And I never got past the first issue, unfortunately. And there is some damage to that, so I'm going to donate that one. Oh, going back to Frank Cho, Shadow the She-Devil. If you like Frank Cho's artwork, I do recommend checking out some of the trades of Shadow the She-Devil. I'm going to donate that. That's a bit of damage from what we got there. DC Bombshells. You know, I can understand why it's popular. I totally understand why people wanted that. It wasn't really for me. Oh, you beauty. Sorry, not the mic there. What have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4 issues. Classics. Dork Tower. If you're familiar with the game Munchkin, the artwork of John Kovalic, you'll be familiar with. You would recognise the style in Dork Tower. They were comics about geeks. I love these things dearly. These and Spaced, basically the chronicle of my 20s. Bobbins by John Allison. I'm going to pop this on eBay. I think the guy did Learning to Fly. I was talked into buying this for a comic store. It was really good, but not something I'm going to keep hold of. However, this is signed. So that is going on the eBay pile. DC Universe Last Will and Testament. One shot from October 2008. That's going one shot on eBay. I like the idea of one shots. I think one shots are a really good idea, and I'm willing to pay a bit more for a one shot if it is a one shot, a self-contained story. I like a self-contained story, and I think that's something that a lot of publishers are missing the appeal of. Even now, a self-contained story is really appealing to readers at the moment. You know, a lot of readers have moved on to just getting trades because they want a self-contained story. So put out more one-shots, guys. I've got the 4-issue run of Union. I loved this as a teenager, and yep, I was an absolute sucker for foil covers. So this is the original I had with the foil cover. Awesome ad for the Max on the back. Sam Keith represents. Never say that again, Andrew. So yeah, Union. It was art by Mark Texeira, and the art was very scratchy, but that made it kind of interesting, kind of forbidden, like you were reading something captured from a dream. You know, but in the terms of like a cosmic superhero story. iZombie issue 1. The first issue, which was back when Vertigo were doing $1 first issues of iZombie. Cracking comic, great TV series. That'll pop on eBay. X-Men Prime issue 1. I'm a sucker for issue 1s, especially as this one had Jubilee on it as well. Where's this from? I've just lost track. There's so many comic books in the archive. 2017. That's more recent. I don't know if anyone would be interested in that, but I'll see. Oh, this is a good one. Name one here. Okay, this was a good issue. This was a really good series. I think it ran for 5 issues. And all the others here. Chrononauts, written by Mark Miller. 2 dudes mess up time and then mess it up more by trying to fix it. It's I'll find the other issues of that and pop them off as a single lot if I have the other issues somewhere. It was a really good comic book. They weren't particularly good guys, and I enjoyed it all the more for that. They were kind of rogues. I mean, rogues is the term. Birds of Prey 120, proper Birds of Prey, not the Harley Quinn movie. You know, I'm disappointed we didn't get a proper Birds of Prey movie. I'm going to donate that. Also going to donate Uncanny X-Force, because wasn't that brilliant? Harley Quinn Rebirth. Harley Quinn comics are fun, and that's something that I've said for a long time has been missing from many comics. Is fun, so it was good to see that pop back there. A damaged Harley Quinn there from the original run from 2002. I'm just going to get donated. Here's an interesting one for fans of Mr. Bendis, Mr. Brian Michael Bendis. A little bit dog-eared, but I kept hold of this for a long time. From 1993, published by Caliber Press. It's fire. Very early, if not the first thing that Brian Michael Bendis had put out. And it's good. It's very good. So, yeah. Photographic cover. A little bit crude artwork. Let's draw this as well. I can't remember. But it's little elements of like Sin City sort of style in some panels. But it works. It was very good. It was very good. I'd love to say I thought, oh, that man's destined for big things. He's going to be around for a long time, but I didn't. I just thought he was a pull up on my comic at the time. Transformers Armada issue 1. People went nuts for this when this came out. Wraparound cover. But problem was, it didn't have a very good story. The artwork was stunning. Absolutely breathtakingly detailed. Wonderful. Cinematic artwork, but very little substance. Unlike, oh yes, Gem and the Holograms. Now this is the recent comic book series of Gem and the Holograms from IDW. 2018 or so? 2017, February 2017. This is excellent. Don't be fooled by the fact that it's Gem and the Holograms comic, you know, inspired by the 80s series that was awesome. This is a really endearing, loving bit of comic book writing and some glorious artwork. Let's find a good example for you. You may think from the art style that it's kind of twee, but it's exquisite. It is exquisitely written, beautifully drawn. The art style is ludicrous and very much in keeping with the legacy of the original cartoon. Well worth reading, honestly. Even if you're a jaded old man who needs to shave, there's a lot to be enjoyed in that series of Gem comics. A lot to be enjoyed. Tales from the Crypt, one of the many attempts of bringing it back, issue 1, from Paper Cuts with a Z. An EC comic, first Paper Cuts issue with a Z. It did what it needed to, but that's going on eBay. X-23 issue 1. I like X-23, great character. That's going to head on the eBay page. Can we just take a moment to enjoy the delight that is Terry Moore's Strangers in Paradise? I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. Abstract Studios, just the emotional complexity of Strangers in Paradise, coupled with the talent of Terry Moore as a writer and artist, is just, it's perfect. Tales of Honor, the Honor Harrington comic book based on the novels. All right. Anyway, New 52, a New 52 one shot. That's going on the donated pile. Strangers in Paradise Kids, kind of Peanuts style to it. Affectionate, lovely. Pop the Strangers in Paradise ones up on eBay. The Last Fantastic Four story. This was 2007, October 2007, written by Stan Lee, and penciled by John Romita Jr. What a pairing! And it is the idea of what the last ever Fantastic Four story would be like. And there's Galactus. Yeah, Galactus shows up in it. Namor. It was a good story there. I miss Stan. Yeah, to the point my adoration of Stan. Oh, check that out. Check out that spread there. Through my love of the stuff that Stan did, my kids miss him too. Okay, London Night Studios. Indie comic Razor. I'm not going to show you the inside of this because I don't want to get this video taken down. That was a bit rude. I'll go on eBay. It was okay. I was going through like a crow phase at the time. We've got another couple of issues of Motor Crush that just has such a beautiful style to it. I can't remember who did the art in these books. I'm sorry. Let's check it out. Creators Brendan Fletcher, Cameron Stewart, and Babs Tarr. I think it's Babs that did the artwork, and it's just phenomenal. It's so kinetic, and even in the quieter character moments, there's a lot of movement and a lot of drama just in the quieter moments. It's fabulous. I recommend that wholeheartedly. Right, okay, the end of the the final one from this pile. Honestly, just grabbed a pile was an issue of Super Babes 1 that I wrote for AC Comics. How apt! What a nice note to end this episode of Planet Hex Comic Talk on. Thank you for sticking with me through this lengthy episode talking about a stack of comics. I've really enjoyed it. I want to do this again. I'm sorry it wasn't a live stream like it was intended to be, but the connection just wasn't having it. I hope you've had a lovely time watching this. I've had a great time talking endlessly about comics. Now I'm going to go and read some. Thank you ever so much for checking out this episode of Planet Hex. I'll check you again soon.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.